The van rolled down a long highway, disappearing into the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of pink and gold, glowing as if lit from within. Inside, music played, an old American song about freedom and the road, and three girls laughed like time itself had stopped for them. Rachel was driving. She loved the road, its uncertainty, its endlessness. The wind tangled her hair, and in the rearview mirror she saw Emma's thoughtful face, calm, but with something hidden beneath the surface. Morgan sat in the back, singing loudly to the music and recording everything on her phone. "We have to remember every second of this," she said, grinning. Their journey had started spontaneously, a late-night idea born over cheap coffee and a shared sense that the city was suffocating them. 2 days later, their bags were packed, and the open road was waiting. At first, everything felt light. Music, roadside diners, strangers with stories, the hum of tires on asphalt. But somewhere along the way, something began to change between Emma and Rachel. It wasn't sudden, more like a quiet flame that refused to fade. One night, they stopped by the ocean. Morgan was asleep under a blanket, while Rachel sat by the fire, tossing twigs into the flames. Emma joined her in silence, the night air cool and salty. "You're always so calm," Rachel said softly. "Like nothing could ever hurt you." Emma smiled faintly. "That's just what people think. I've just learned how to hide it when it does." Rachel chuckled. "And I'm the opposite. You can read me like an open book." A pause hung between them, warm, a little awkward, but full of meaning. "You know," Rachel whispered, "when I first saw you, I thought she's the kind of person people spend their whole lives looking for." Emma turned to her. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world fell completely still. Even the ocean quieted. "Can I do something?" Rachel asked. She didn't wait for an answer. She leaned closer and kissed her, softly, carefully, as if afraid the moment might vanish if she moved too fast. Emma froze for a heartbeat, then closed her eyes and kissed her back, unsure, but with a feeling too real to hide. When they pulled away, Emma whispered, "I don't know if I'm ready for something like this." Rachel smiled. "I'm not asking for forever. Just this moment." From that night on, something between them shifted. They began talking late into the night about life, fear, and what it means to be truly yourself in a world that keeps trying to define you. Sometimes they didn't talk at all, just sat quietly, feeling that silence could be just as intimate as words. Morgan understood. She joked that their trip had turned into a road trip soap opera, but deep down, she was happy for them. She saw how both their eyes had changed, softer, warmer, alive. Days turned into nights, and miles melted beneath the tires. They crossed mountains, fields, small forgotten towns. One night they stayed in a tiny seaside motel that smelled of cinnamon and sea salt. Another night they helped a farmer pick peaches and ended up laughing until they cried. But not every day was easy. Sometimes Emma would pull away, not out of anger, but fear. Once, in the middle of the night, she quietly stepped out of the van and started walking down the empty road. Rachel followed her minutes later. "Why are you running away?" Rachel asked. Emma's voice trembled. "Because I'm scared. Scared that this might actually be real." Rachel took her hand gently. "Sometimes the only real things are the ones that scare us." That night changed everything. After it, Emma stopped hiding, and Rachel stopped doubting. Weeks later, they found themselves deep in the desert. The van stood still beside the road, the sun slowly sinking behind the dunes. The sky burned with every shade of pink and orange. Morgan grabbed her camera and smiled. "This is our last sunset. Stand together. I want to remember this forever." Emma stood between them. Morgan and Rachel kissed her cheeks at the same time, and for that one instant, everything felt perfect. Laughter, love, road, wind, light. The camera clicked, but what it truly captured wasn't faces. It was everything between them. Later that night, they sat inside, drinking tea in silence. Emma finally asked, "What do you think will happen when the road ends?" Rachel looked at her, eyes soft. "Then life begins. Just don't let go of me." Emma smiled and squeezed her hand. I won't, even when the road disappears. They lay down side by side, listening to the wind outside the van. For the first time in a long time, the world felt safe, not because it was perfect, but because they were no longer alone in it. In the morning, they hit the road again. The highway shimmered under the sun, endless and bright. Morgan turned up the music. Emma rested her head on Rachel's shoulder, and Rachel smiled at the open horizon. Sometimes love doesn't need promises or forever. Sometimes it lives in motion, in the hum of wheels, in a shared glance, in a moment where everything feels right. And there, where the road ends, they found themselves.